I'm Steve, back here with Dr. Nario of Biointegrative Health Center. Biointegrative Health Center is in Reno, Nevada. If you've been watching us at all, you know it's in Reno, and you can look them up online. They do a lot of interesting treatments and treat a lot of interesting ailments. So you know where to find them. Welcome, Doctor.
Hi, Steve. Nice to be back. Thank you for the invite again.
Okay, so let's talk about peroxide. Right away, people are out there going, peroxide? What do you mean? Isn't that stuff you rub it on stuff? I mean, what do you drink? What do you mean peroxide? So let's talk about peroxide treatments and peroxide as a treatment. So let's get into that. What is an IV peroxide treatment?
Right. So, well, Steve, that is a very common question, and I get that a lot from my patients. And the thing there is, remember, you are right. I do agree with you about the skin concoction, the skin solution. So everybody remembers this as it fizzles on wounds when when you get an owie, mom cleans to kill infections. And you're right, there is a 3% of hydrogen peroxide in drugstores. And again, it was used a lot in the past due to, again, the prescription uprise of the medications of antibiotics. It has actually gone into the darkness again. We're in less use of this. Hydrogen peroxide is now, again, we have neosporin now that replaces it. But again, the downfall of peroxide in the past, research was also being put, I guess money had been put on research for this. But again, due to the fact that it cannot be patented, again, there's no money behind it. That's why nobody's investing on it. It's just a natural product out there. So to be expounding on this a little bit more, the uses are actually external and internal. External meaning we're all familiar with the topical antiseptics used on wound, again, killing the microbes. And we see all these the bubbling, fizzling reactions. This means that oxygen is actually being created to kill all these infections. So they don't like the oxygen, then they die off. And when you talk about internal, there are two types. Two types meaning one is oral, which is actually 35%, the only one that is used internally, but requires dilution. And it's also used to sterilize food and packaging. And the other internal one is IV form of hydrogen peroxide, which is a bio-oxidative therapy. And the concept of the bio-oxidative therapy is of hydrogen peroxide. It's adding oxygen directly to the tissues of the body in the form of the single oxygen, the lone oxygen atom. And I'll explain that later for everybody to understand. And it's a very reactive form of molecule that comes out from hydrogen peroxide. And in IV form, it is usually infused into the circulatory system or through the veins. And yes, you heard it right. Hydrogen peroxide can be infused, but not, it all has to be done by a professional.
Right. So oxygen, it's, the key with the peroxide intravenously is oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. Obviously is a good thing. I know that was one of the protocols for me when I first started going to the clinic. One of the doctors there had me do 5 mega-Cs and 5 peroxides just to get me cleaned up before I did 5 chelations. So that was a protocol that was used for me, and it started with 5 peroxides was part of it. So, and it was IV. So, yeah, you go, well, maybe you can gargle with it, but really you're going to shoot it in my vein? Wow. Okay. So what are the benefits of this peroxide treatment?
Well, Steve, the secret behind understanding the effect of hydrogen peroxide is understanding the actual chemical reaction that's behind it. So the chemical reaction looks like this. So let me just write it out. I know it's like a scratch paper, but as you can see, H2O2 catalase, the enzyme in our bodies, turns it into H2O and O minus, as you can see that. When as you can see there, the conversion to water and the single atom of oxygen is the secret. The single oxygen located at the end of that reaction is a powerful oxidizing agent. It is the active agent of hydrogen peroxide therapy, even for maybe for the topical form or the skin form, and also the IV form. And let me explain to you what catalase is. Catalase is the driver of this reaction. All living organisms exposed to oxygen, maybe bacteria, plants, or animals, actually has this enzyme that actually catalyzes or forms peroxide, hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. It's very important in terms of protecting the cell from free radicals, such in order for us to protect the integrity of our cells. So now you're talking about what are the benefits in relation to this specific chemical reaction. Infections, number one. The singlet oxygen in the human body is actually very significant for when it gets in contact with microorganisms, the cell walls, it kills and severely inhibits the growth of these organisms, especially the ones that does not like oxygen. They're called anaerobic. Bacteria and viruses actually are known for this. But not all bacteria. There's what we call a classification that does not like oxygen, which is anaerobic. And majority of viruses, they're anaerobic or they don't like oxygen. So once you introduce that single oxygen to them, then they die away. And also peroxide stimulates your immune cells, the T and B cells, at least 20 to 35%, also to support the killing of infection. Second would be it provides that single oxygen in terms of stimulating now the detoxification processes of the body, wherein we transform biological waste products and also industrial toxins to substances that we can start to detoxify easier, especially by the kidneys and the liver. And doubling the rates of the metabolism, especially the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, uses that single oxygen also to rev up the system to clean it up faster. Basically, two things that I mentioned there. Peroxide helps with a lot of infections and also hastening the detoxification process of our body.
Yeah, great treatment. And so I know my wife and I are in the clinic every week, and so a lot of times she wants to, or I want to do more than one drip. And so maybe we want peroxide, but we want another IV to go with it. So what combinations or other IVs or treatments, like let's say, I go in and I say, Doc, I want a peroxide bag. What else can I do with it? Can you talk a little bit about what combinations can be used with peroxide, or maybe pushes, maybe describe what a push is and what can be used if someone comes in and they get an IV treatment that's a peroxide like this?
Well, Steve, yeah, that is a common situation that we get a lot of. And the thing here is there are so many, but everybody has to remember that hydrogen peroxide is a very reactive molecule. As you can see how I broke down the chemical reaction. And combining it with the wrong solutions can lead to destruction of the medicine, meaning, of course, loss of the effect. I have seen the best combo with peroxide, especially with high doses of vitamin C. And just to remind everybody what high dose vitamin C is, when you infuse high dose vitamin C in your system, it actually has an end product of still or also hydrogen peroxide. Vitamin C turns into hydrogen peroxide. And it also is good for infections, building collagen, and increasing the oxygen fighting capacity of the body, which is a very pro-oxidative treatment. And this combo I see a lot in cancer therapy and severe infections. And that's why these two kind of work together, because vitamin C is basically the end product of that is hydrogen peroxide. Another one that you can get into the mix is what we call DMSO. DMSO is dimethyl sulfoxide. Again, another weird term that nobody should remember. Just remember DMSO. It's a potent anti-inflammatory. For example, we use it for joint and back pain, fibromyalgia patients. rheumatoid arthritis, who has bad inflammation flare-ups. Initially, this DMSO medicine is used on horses topically, and now there is a medically grade version that is made also for the clinicians to use. Again, the side effects are the ones that we kind of give our patients cautions about. It can make you stinky, specifically garlicky in terms of smell, for almost 48 hours. Even with scrubbing and showering won't go away. The smell is going to be there. And make sure you're not going to go into parties or socials just to make it not awkward for yourself. So bad, in extreme examples, wives that told husbands to sleep on the couch, and even family members didn't want to hang out with their parents who had it. Overall, still a potent anti-inflammatory medication or supplementation, especially in combination with hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, that's interesting what you just said, because the DMSO, my wife, it's one my wife likes to get for, joints and just makes her feel better. But I'm like, hey, babe, she's probably gonna get mad at me for saying this, but hey, babe, can you go stand outside for a while and let's open the windows? And what's
Okay.
interesting about what you said about that, the recipient of the treatment can't smell it.
Unfortunately, that is the effect of that.
It's like, you don't know, but I'm not trying to discourage anyone from this incredible treatment because it is incredible. And you combine peroxide with omega C. Oh my gosh, boy, your body's gonna love that.
Right. That's
So,
one of the powerful treatments that I've seen. But of course, the time is something that everybody needs to consider. That's a lot of fluid.
yeah, and omega C takes a long time because you have to go really slow.
Yep, that is correct.
Well, thank you, Dr. Nario. Great information as always. You guys want to find out more about these treatments, you can look them up online. You go in and get a consultation. So that's Dr. Nario Biointegrative Health Center in Reno, Nevada. Thanks for being with us, Doctor.
Steve, thank you again. As we all know, knowledge is power, and thank you for letting me provide you with the edge of in longevity and health maintenance, which I call the biological edge or the bio edge.